Okay, Braves. So I just went through my 5th hour block. I obviously don't have a 7th hour today, so I'm going to go on ahead and just kind of recreate the same Zoom meeting I had for my 5th hour. One thing I want to mention, so I only had 6 students show up today for their first Zoom class. The afternoon blocks you must show up to. Now, I totally understand. A lot of you not showing up today, still trying to figure things out. Working through your classes, clicking all the links. It's probably pretty overwhelming today. So I totally understand you not showing up today, but make sure you do not miss these afternoon Zooms because that's how we're taking attendance. Attendance is for a grade, but your attendance is also really important because the state is mandating that we keep track of when you are in class and how often you're working and all those things. If we don't do that, we don't get funding to run the school. We don't get funding to pay your teachers. We don't get funding to pay the maintenance staff here, so on and so forth. So you showing up to class is really important so that you're staying on track with everything. You understand why we're doing what we're doing, but also too, because that's how we're keeping this whole thing going. So without your presence here, it's really just not good for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly go through what my class is about. That's what today's meeting is about. I will be going over this information very quickly for everybody who's going to be in the meetings the rest of the week. But I want to make sure that there's an actual recorded video on YouTube. So just in case you don't show up or whatever, it's there. Okay. So first things first, I have a website, and I'm going to go ahead and close out of all of this stuff because I'm going to open it up in real time as I am recording it. My website is here to help you, and this is a place for me to add different information that is useful and organized. So that's really kind of the thing to think about. When you go to Classroom, everything's just kind of in a stream here. It's just in a list view. And even if I break it up into different segments for week 1, week 2, week 3, so on and so forth, it's just a long list of stuff and it's easy to lose things. So my Classroom website is kind of meant to be the hub for your learning, to figure out where all the links are, to figure out when we're doing what, why we're doing what, all of that stuff. So the website here on the home page, I have the syllabi for your class. General science, it's here. Biology, it's there. Really, obviously, very simple. When you click on this, it will actually pop open a PDF that you can download and keep for yourself. One addendum, one change that I need to make to both of these for general science and biology is the fact that the final this year, I don't think we're going to be doing a final. I know it's not going to be worth 20% of your grade. So this 20% actually goes into assessments. Before you freak out about assessments, one thing I want you to understand, assessments for me are quizzes and projects. I don't really give big unit tests because they don't really tell me much. It's like an autopsy. I can figure out why the person died, but it doesn't help me keep that person alive. Quizzes are all about me keeping you guys alive. It's like going to the doctor and getting a checkup. It lets me know where the hangups are in the learning, what I haven't done well or explained well to you, and what I need to change in the future. So I like quizzes a heck of a lot better. That's the assessment piece. So assessments are going to be 70% of your grade. Projects are also the assessment piece, and projects are going to be worth a lot more than quizzes. And you can kind of look at a project more like a test, like an end unit test. I'm going to be having you do things that are fairly difficult to do or really show mastery of what you were supposed to have learned. I'll give you an example. One of the projects I'm going to have you guys do for the first ecology unit is to go out and start identifying the things living around you, to create a food web essentially for your particular ecosystem around you, to do a biodiversity study. So you're actually going to be keeping track of how many different species are in the area, and you're going to try and do an overall ecosystem health check. And all of those things require you to know the things you're supposed to learn. So if you didn't learn what you were supposed to, you won't be able to do these projects. So just keep that in mind. That's what I mean by assessments. Now, the reason your practice, your worksheets, your different random readings and Zoom discussions and attendance and all of that stuff is only worth 30% is because the learning process is inherently full of mistakes. We all make mistakes while we're learning, and you shouldn't be punished for making a mistake while you're learning how to do something. The point is, you don't know this stuff, and you're experiencing it oftentimes for the first time. And why would I sit there and whack you and knock your grade down and all that stuff when you're just trying to get familiar with the content? It doesn't make any sense, right? So this is as low as it is because this should not make or break you. The point of my assignments is to get you ready for the quizzes and projects. And really what my class is all about is getting you to think critically, to try and get you to think scientifically, to look at the world more closely, to analyze data and come up with sound conclusions. So that's where the bulk of what your grade is going to be located, is in assessments and projects. You actually showing me you can think critically. You actually showing me you can take all the data of the different creatures living around your home and analyzing how those things work together to keep the ecosystem functioning, right? So I'm trying to get you guys out of the knowledge regurgitation mode, which is what a lot of education has been really since we started the classroom model back in like the 1700s, right? I don't care about what you can memorize. I care about what you're capable of. Can you teach yourself? Can you learn on your own? Really, the point the thing I need to be focused on is getting you to become a lifelong learner, somebody who doesn't need a teacher to be able to learn new things, learn new skills. The worst thing I can do is make you dependent upon me and your other teachers. So I am going to try and gear my classroom this year and every year around you not needing me. Because when you leave these four walls, these virtual walls at this point, when you graduate high school, you are on your own. Even if you go to college, you might have a professor, whatever. But for the most part, you are on your own. And if you can't learn on your own, if you don't know how to research, if you don't know how to dissect texts, if you don't know how to look at data and analyze it, you won't be successful. And in our world, which is changing rapidly all the time, new industries are being created while old ones die. If you can't retool yourself, if you can't learn new skills on the fly, and you have to go to some highly expensive university or tech program to learn a new skill, you're going to fall behind, and it's going to be very difficult to exist in the new economy. And again, the economy is changing at a ever increasing rate. It's changing so fast, it blows all the previous, centuries out of the water. I mean, just look at what Amazon has done to mom and pop stores. Look at what Amazon has done to bookstores. Amazon killed bookstores. That's a good thing because, hey, all I have to do is go online and hit a button and it comes to my door. That's a better experience than having to drive 45 minutes to a bookstore, search through all the different books that are there, yada, yada, yada. Point being, the economy is constantly changing. Industries are constantly changing. And you have to be able to be a self-learner. And you want to get to the point where you don't need me. So that's what I'm going to try and do this year with my lessons, is get you to a point where you're mainly learning on your own and I'm just kind of guiding you a little bit. Okay, my expectations this year are that you try your best. With my assignments, I will never record a grade lower than 60% on an assignment or a project, so long as I can easily say that you tried your best. If I see you copying, pasting large things of text in your assignments, or you have the exact same answers as other students, I will give you a 0 for that. You need to be generating your own answers, your own work, okay? I don't care if you work with other students on all of your assignments. If you want to get together with a partner and go through all of Mr. Clemens' work together, awesome. Collaboration is a great way to learn. The one thing I want to mention, though, you should not have the exact same answers as the person you're working for, meaning word for word. Like when you're writing down the sentences, I should not be able to look and go, oh, so and so must have been working with this other person here because they had the exact same verbatim answer. If you can put it in your own words, it means you understand it. So put it in your own words. That's what I expect. You need to make sure you show up to all of the Google Hangouts and all of the Zoom meetings. If I post that we have a Zoom meeting, you need to be there. That doesn't count for office hours. That's just for the block times. And if I, in the week ahead, let you know, hey, we're going to have a Zoom meeting at 9:45 on Tuesday, you need to show up for that Zoom meeting so that we're all on the same page. Again, I'm going to take points for attendance. That's also how we get funding for the school. It's also a great way to start practicing those skills on being on time, because being on time is a very important skill. You will be much more successful and you will have a much higher opinion of yourself. Your bosses will have a much higher opinion. Your colleagues will have a much higher opinion of you. Even your family members will have a much higher opinion of you if you are punctual and on time. It's very, very important. In fact, you should be 5 minutes early to every slated meeting that you have. Keep that in mind. Other things to mention. I want genuine, participation. Don't give me humdrum answers. Don't be boring. Really try. It's all about trying with me. That's, again, so long as you're trying, you don't fail my class. It's pretty much how it goes. Be humble and recognize that we're all human. I'm going to mess up this year. You're going to mess up this year. We're not omnipotent. We're not omniscient. We don't know everything. We can't do everything, especially on the first try. So just be humble. Recognize that we're all going to make mistakes, but we're going to roll with the punches. We're going to get through this year. Be respectful of everyone involved in the learning process. That's your teacher, that's your peers, that's yourself. You need to respect yourself. If you can't respect yourself, it means you can't really respect anybody else, right? It all starts with you personally. So don't be a jerk. Be nice to people. If somebody makes a mistake, again, go back to being humble and understanding that we all make mistakes. We're all human. No one's perfect. Michael Jordan's not perfect. LeBron James is not perfect. We know Donald Trump is not perfect. Barack Obama was not perfect. Go down the list. There's not a single human being that has ever existed that was perfect. So be humble. No need to be a jerk to people, right? Okay. Again, all work that you submit needs to be your own and yours alone. That's it. You must have been the one to complete it. It doesn't do you any good turning in assignments that you didn't actually do. Even if you have your best friend right next to you and they go ahead and do it for you and you turn it in, you get the points, it's only worth 30% of your grade, right? So 30% is not a passing grade. If you're not doing the assignments, the point of the assignments is for you to learn so that you can perform later. So make sure you're doing your own work. Turning in assignments for points doesn't do you any good at all. Doing the assignments and learning from them, that's the point, right? And if you learn from your assignments, you should do well on your assessments, and your assessments are where your grade is, right? Okay. Do not copy and paste. I was fairly lax about this as a middle school teacher. I let my students kind of copy and paste because they were still learning how to use the internet and research and summarize information and all that. You're now in high school. Most of you that I'm teaching are sophomores. In 2 years, you will be graduating high school and moving off into the real world. Copy and paste is not acceptable in the real world. So also too, copying and pasting doesn't do you any good in terms of learning. It's not your words. You haven't processed that information in your head. So make sure what you put down on paper is your own work. Do not copy and paste. And do not compare yourself to others. This is one of the most detrimental things to you, your emotional health, your mental health, et cetera, et cetera. This is one of the reasons why social media is so damaging to people, because when you compare yourself to others, it is very easy for you to start getting down on yourself, for you to start basically being overly worried about other people's opinions. You shouldn't worry about what other people have to think. You should be focused on trying to be a better person than you were yesterday. That's it. If you are 1% better every day, by the end of the year, you're 300+% better than you were at the beginning of the year. It adds up. And you can become a very good, capable person in a fairly short amount of time, so long as you're focused on simply being better than the person you were yesterday. So compare yourself to yourself. If you are smarter, if you know more, if you're more capable today than yesterday, then you are being successful. Always keep that in mind. Don't compare yourself to somebody who, like, again, LeBron James or Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time. And really, don't be comparing your looks and things like that to people on social media, because we all know what the web filters do. They make everybody look wonderful and beautiful. And no one is wonderful, really, or beautiful. Really beautiful people, it's like 1% of the population. It's very, very rare people. Most of everybody else online is using a filter, or they're using their best, their best side. So they always look, good or whatever. When you see things online, those are glamour shots, man. Those are like, hey, this is my best face right here. Yep. Every time I take a social media picture, I'm doing this, so I look the greatest. When you see most of those people who are online in real life, you wouldn't even recognize them. Okay. And if you want a good example, Joe Rogan, his daughter recently took a picture of him while they were at a restaurant. She used an Instagram filter, and you cannot even recognize that it's Joe Rogan, number one, that it's a man, number two, and in fact, it looks like a high school aged young lady with this filter, right? Don't compare yourself to other people, okay? Compare yourself to yourself. That's all that matters. All right, off my soapbox. Okay, moving on. These web applications you need to be familiar with. I've had a lot of questions about Jamboard today. Jamboard is located in Google Drive. I will show you at the end of the video how to do a Jamboard real quick, or how to access it, so that information's out there. But you should be able to use the listed applications, web apps here. If you don't know how to use those, go on YouTube and try and figure it out, because this is where we will be living for our classes moving forward. And again, final thoughts on this particular syllabus. Just know that we're all in a new situation. We're all human, but also to understand that digital learning is a lot more difficult on the teacher end than in-person learning. I can give you immediate feedback in a normal conversation or in a normal classroom discussion, and all 24 of my students will hear the same thing at the same time, especially if they have the same question. Now, in order for me to give you feedback, I either have to schedule an individual Zoom or some sort of a chat with you in order to give you feedback on something personally. Or if it comes down to giving you feedback on, let's say, just a normal assignment. Let's just take a normal worksheet, for example. Not only do I have to create that thing and have it posted in 6 different places, 6 different classes, right? When it comes to grading, I have to click on your name. I have to click on the assignment that you did. Pops a new window. Now I have to use the comment features to add in the feedback. Typed feedback takes a lot longer than written feedback. I can't just simply write in the margins. And once I'm done with that, I have to assign a grade. I have to record the grade. And then I have to hit return to get it back to you. Old school, I go through, I'm looking at the paper, I mark things down, I write little notes, put the paper aside, go to the next one. It's a much faster process. This takes time. So you'll notice that, especially with the schedule, we teachers, we only have students really twice a week for half a day each. That's because it's going to take a lot of time to go through and give you all individual feedback and schedule all of these things. And our schedule's kind of weird. So for instance, these afternoon block days, when we actually go look at the schedule for the year, which I will go to right here, if I'm teaching a lesson in one of these block hours, these afternoon block hours, and I'm doing it for my 6th-hour biology class. Well, I can't have whatever is in this discussion attach to something from Monday, because you've now had 3 days of time in between that assignment. It's going to be out of sequence. So these block hours where you guys are showing up for Zooms in my classroom, these are going to be conversations around what you're doing that week. It's going to be context for what we're doing and why. And hopefully it's going to be interesting. I'm going to try and keep these lively. If I can't meet that goal of actually giving you something interesting that's additional on top of what you're supposed to be learning that week, that helps you understand why you're learning it, makes it more interesting, so on and so forth, these will be fairly short. I'll basically be taking attendance, asking for questions, things like that. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and lecture to you for an hour and 15 minutes on these Zooms. That is not a good way to learn. It's terrible for me. It's terrible for you. I just spent the last 3 weeks doing 3.5 hours of Zoom each day. By the end of the 3.5 hours, that's a half day of just sitting in front of a classroom. Not only was I mentally fatigued, my back hurt, I was sore, I just wanted to be done with the day. So I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. I'm not going to take up time that you could be doing something else that's more important, unless what we're doing is equally important. So just keep in mind, it's difficult to make this afternoon block time worthwhile. But so when we do this, it's because I'm doing something with you that I think is very worthwhile to your learning. So please show up to them. And again, that's also how we get funding. So please, do that. I may have you guys do some Zooms as classes, like 3rd-hour class on a Monday or a Wednesday in the morning time. I will let you know all about when that happens and the week ahead. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. Okay, back to this. I guess we're done with this thing here. Let me pop up my website again. Okay, so that's the schedule. Virtual office hours. Again, if you click on this, it'll pop up in a full schedule. Okay, virtual office hours. This is an Ask Me Anything time. So Mondays and Wednesdays from 8:30 to 9:30, I will be available for questions on Zoom. And all you have to do is click this right here, and it might ask you for a password. The password's Science20 exclamation point. This is your time to ask me anything. How do I do a Jamboard? How do I use WeVideo? So on and so forth. I'm going to have my projector on with Zoom running on my Chromebook and a little webcam there. Whenever I see somebody pop up, I'm going to leave my desk and go over there, and I'm going to be available for you however you need me. But most of the time, I'll just be sitting on my desk with Zoom open and just waiting for people to pop in and out. But this is your chance to ask random questions about whatever it is that you need help with. And I will be available for you. And if I need to stay on longer in the mornings, I'll do that too. It really comes down to what you guys need. For now, this is what it is, okay? The week ahead is not only going to be posted in Classroom, but it's also posted on my website weekly. So this is next week. You'll see the week after and the week after pop up, and I will keep posting them here. They will all always be up here. I will never take them down. That way, if you missed a week because you had COVID and you were deathly ill and on a respirator and whatever, you can come back 3 weeks later and I will still have the lesson plans of what you missed up here. Okay, so lesson plans will be here and on Google Classroom. Science news is just me trying to provide different relevant news to what you're learning about. For instance, I did a video here about the fact that we're flying through a dead star, a supernova, and how we proved that had to do with biology. Little tiny microorganisms that absorbed some of this supernova material that fell here on Earth, was recorded in the rock record, and 33 million years ago, we actually have a timestamp of when this supernova occurred and when we were flying through it. And we know that because of some biology stuff, some cell stuff. So I'm doing a video on that, on the articles that I read and all of that stuff. I'll try and keep those about 3 minutes long. You'll probably get one a week because, again, a 3-minute video can take me about 3 hours to make. So weekly, I'll try and have something posted up here. My blog, the reason I have a blog is to provide additional context for the lesson plans, what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, all of that stuff. I will try to have a blog up weekly when I post the lesson plans the week ahead. Okay, so you can see right now I've got this. This is really for this week and next week. Use the blog if you need it. You don't have to check it every week. It's just there if you want it, need the information. And then finally, I've got a 3D printer, as you can see behind me. I post all the different videos that I do on the things that I create. 3D printing is the future. We'll be 3D printing food. We'll basically be 3D printing everything probably within the next 20 years. And 20 years, everyone's going to have a 3D printer in their house. So this is me kind of showing you the technology, how easy it is to use, and kind of how to finish projects and just do stuff. I do it because it's a fun hobby, and I get to have really cool things like this, hollow mask here that I created, it's just fun. So, anywho, that's my website. Something to mention: if there's something that you would like me to post up to the website, a new segment, a new section, something that you think would be helpful, let me know. I'll create a new section up here. This website is for you. It's to be your hub for learning this year. So I want it to be as useful for you as possible. Okay. Other things to mention. Obviously, the course syllabus is here as well as on my website. Week ahead, already went through that. Again, on the week ahead, all of your Zoom stuff, all the links for Zoom, all of that is there. And you can see it goes day by day. Again, just to keep in mind, Mondays and Tuesdays are odd, Wednesdays and Thursdays are even, and then everybody has class on Friday. So you're gonna see Mondays and Tuesdays being the same thing, and Wednesdays and Thursdays probably being the same thing. And that's just because you guys are in a block schedule. So you have me 3 times a week. So just keep that in mind. Again, helpful links here.
Mr. Dunning, contact the office, please. Mr. Dunning, contact the office.
All the Zoom links are up here that you need for your classes, and the schedule's posted on that. Okay? So that's the week ahead. And then moving on, your first assignment. So you'll notice in the first assignment, both of these things are on there. For those of you who noticed that there was no link for the learning styles questionnaire, I totally forgot to put it here, but it was on this assignment. This assignment, again, is all about you figuring out how to use the tools we'll be using this year. So when you go through and do this first thing, this is for you to just get used to using Google Slides. Same thing for the Jamboard. I'll show you how to do that in a second. The survey here, the Google form, this survey is for me to get an idea of what your capabilities are at home and what your capabilities are as a learner, as a collaborator. So,
Officer Collins, contact the office, please. Mr. Dunning, please contact the office.
Collaboration is one of the most effective ways of learning. And I'm going to try and get you guys put into groups this year using Google Hangouts and different breakouts on different projects so that you guys are actually working together basically in what is now the norm. My wife teaches, or not teaches, she used to teach. My wife is a startup lead for a pharmaceutical company. She starts up all the different pharmaceutical research trials. So anytime a new medicine is coming out, she's responsible for talking to people in Norway, talking to people in the UK and Canada, in Mozambique, like all over the world. And she's doing all of this digitally. So she has to collaborate with people that she has never met personally. That's what I'm going to have you guys work on, because if you actually want a real professional job, this is essentially where the world is moving, online only. It's going to be a very rare time where you're actually meeting with colleagues in person. Because it's expensive. Most of the time, your big corporations that have those big paychecks and so on and so forth, they have offices all over the country and all over the world. So I'm asking you straight up, what are you good at? Are you good at being a leader? Are you better at research and, editing and things like that? Let me know so I can set up my groups appropriately. I want to make sure, because I can't get to know you in person, I want to make sure I'm grouping you in ways that are going to be useful and not detrimental to your learning. Other things on this that I'm asking you about, your actual capabilities of using different things. Whether or not you have a smartphone, the reason I'm asking you that, or a device that has a camera and the internet, is because I'm going to be asking you to take photos and things of what you find outside during your field investigations for ecology. If you don't have an actual thing that can take photos and send it to your Chromebook, well, then I need to know that, so then it's not necessarily an expectation for you. Or maybe I can send you a device or find some workaround. But if I don't know that, and then we get to the first project and then you turn in something that's missing half of what you were supposed to do because you didn't have a camera, well, I can't fix it once the project's done. But we can do it ahead of time. So let me know. The other thing is, this is totally not me being a creeper here. I'm trying to figure out what types of ecological environments, ecosystems are around you, so I know what to expect and what to put up as expectations for you on some of these projects. So if all you have is a backyard and you don't even have trees in your backyard, it's just like half dead grass and whatever, awesome, let me know. I need to know this so I can adequately put together assignments. Same thing with your internet connection and all that. Upload speeds are really important if you're trying to put something up to YouTube. I know when I was teaching at my last school district, if I put a video together, it would take me an hour and a half or so to upload a video to YouTube, and sometimes I'd have to go home and do it. I have Google Fiber at home. I can load up a video in 2 minutes. So if all of you are having bad internet and you can't stream things, I need to know that so I don't keep putting up videos for you to watch that take forever for you to watch, right? So this is just me trying to figure out your capabilities at home. The assignment that I'm having you guys do on Friday, the video about you, that's to get to know you personally. What are you interested in? What are the things that you like? That will help me better curate content and things for you that's more interesting, so that I'm not talking about a science subject that none of you connect with or don't see an application for in your life. Also, too, it's just to help me better understand you as a human being so that we can collaborate and work together better. More on that assignment in a minute. Anyways, point being, this stuff here is just for you to get familiar with stuff. Classcraft we may or may not use this year. I used it heavily a few years ago. This year may not be conducive to using Classroom. I'm going to try and figure out how to do it in a digital setting. We probably won't get into Classcraft for the first 2 weeks if we end up doing it. It'll probably be a week 3 or 4 thing before we get started in that. That's just to give me the time I need to kind of sort through the new normal. So going ahead and create your little avatar and be ready for it. I might be sending you there in the future. Okay. You'll notice I have a link here on how to open a Jamboard. So when I click on this video here that I created, if you are in Google Drive, which you'll see I'm in the Google Drive section here, and you go up and you hit New, when you hit New, this pops up. And you'll see you've got Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, because those are the most common things. But if you click on More, up will pop more things to do. And if you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see it says Google Jamboard there. And when you click on that, it opens up slowly. This is a whiteboard. So like a whiteboard in a classroom where I can draw things up there. I can, project photos up there and draw on the photos and all that. That's what this is. So part of the assignment today was for you to recreate a room or a place that you like, that brings you peace, that brings you comfort, all that. So you're going to use these tools on the side to do that. So that's how you open up a Jamboard. Now, when you're ready to share it, You go up there and hit share, copy link, and attach it to today's assignment. And that's how I'll be able to verify that you did it. Yeah, so that's how you do a Jamboard. Told you I was going to get there. All right. Is there anything else I want to mention? I don't think so. The last thing I will say before I leave you guys with some final thoughts is that the Who Are You assignment, that is due technically next Thursday. However, I might push that back even to just next Friday, because I would really prefer you guys to create videos as opposed to slides for this assignment. And actually, I'll just go ahead and click on this real quick. This is, again, about you and who you are as a person. But if I hit Who Are You, and this is the video that pops up. Hey there, Braves. The first 3 minutes is me just talking about the assignment. Then from about 3 minutes in to about 30 minutes or so in, so about 27 minutes of time, it's me talking about myself and letting you kind of know about the things I like to do and listen to and watch and all that stuff. You don't have to watch that video if you don't want to. But I would like you guys to try and create a video, if at all possible, using WeVideo about yourself. If you really are not in the mood to try and do a video, I understand, because it's time consuming. You can use Google Slides, but don't make it a boring Google slide presentation. Add photos, really try and give me a good idea of who you are, okay? The reason I want you to do a WeVideo and use some editing software is because, as you have probably noticed throughout your K through 12 career, as we move into the future, video is becoming the way of communication. If you look at just Facebook and Twitter posts and all of those, the posts that get the most attention are videos, not text. So if you cannot use a video editing software, it's going to be very difficult for you in the future to promote yourself, to promote your business, to promote whatever ideas or projects you're working on, so on and so forth. Video is where we're moving as a culture, where we're moving as a society. So it's a good idea to start getting the tools or skills that you need to do this. If you can use WeVideo, you can use Final Cut Pro, which is Apple's professional video editing software. It's the same thing that movie studios use. If you can use WeVideo, you can use Adobe's video editing software as well. Everything's very similar to exactly how those operate. It's just the tools are in different spots, and they might be called something different. So you just got to learn some new lingo, and then you can use a program you've never used before, right? So use WeVideo to try and create this if at all possible. The last thing I'll say is, on the week ahead for next week, you'll notice that Friday, the last day of the week, I have a reading assignment for you for an online textbook. If you don't have a login for that by then, that'll just be another day for you to work on your video and try and get it done that day. I'll keep you updated on that. It really comes down to how quickly the tech department can get you guys logins for your digital textbook, okay? So keep that in mind. I also have recorded a video on YouTube of me reading this for you, but I'm not going to send that out unless it's necessary, because it's not the greatest video of a dude reading a textbook. We'll just put it that way. I don't want to bore you to death. So anywho, that is my class. Obviously, we would much rather be here in person, but I don't feel like dying due to some random disease, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to die either. I'm sure you don't want grandma to die, so this is what we got to do. I know it's not ideal, but like I said before, do your best, roll with the punches, make the most of this, and know that, again, I am focused on getting you skills and less focused on you memorizing gobbledygook and regurgitating it on tests. So that should hopefully reduce your anxiety levels just a little bit. And let's try and make the most of this year. We'll try and make it as fun as possible. If you have any feedback for me, do not be afraid to send me an email. If you have an idea of something that might be useful, something you'd like to see, something you'd like to learn about, send me an email. we're in a good position in terms of we're in an incredibly flexible time. So I can change things around for you and do different things for you. You just got to communicate with me. So with that, that's really all I have. Make sure you're going to all your Zooms this week. Make sure you're trying to keep up with things, and I'll catch you later.